People are seriously doing this stuff? Oh my god, this is absolutely wild, guys. What is up, ProGuides family? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We have the best community on YouTube. You guys are fantastic. I have heard from so many of you saying that you guys want to get better at the game, you guys want to improve. All of you guys have the growth mentality, and that's what binds everyone together on ProGuides. I'm sure all of you guys are climbing and you guys are doing a great job, so I just wanted to give you all a shout out for that. A lot of you guys have joined our live classes recently on YouTube. Just a big announcement, we are also going to be streaming on ProGuides at 10:30 a.m. PST and 5:30 p.m. PST, with big names like Mike Young and Poe Belter and Zyrene and Saskiao. We're going to be adding to the list, so my question of the day for you guys is, which pro player do you want to see do a live class for you guys? Because we're trying to get all the pros to teach you guys some advanced tips. So if you guys are new to this video series, we have a bunch of Challenger analysts who have researched specific Korean builds for you guys that are not that well known in NA, which you can use to abuse in solo queue. And for my second question of the day, I know we've never done this before, but I have two questions. Who has the most annoying laughs or taunts in League of Legends? Personally, I gotta be honest, I really don't like to see Zoe start jump roping, especially after killing me, so I'm gonna go with that one. Let me know which taunt you think is the most annoying. That being said, let's jump right into the video. First up is Press the Attack Malphite. We actually saw a player on Fnatic use this rune setup in one of their most recent LEC games. However, we found that Koreans have been using this build in solo queue for quite a while already. Malphite has a very easy time activating Press the Attack because of his attack reset with his W. When his opponents want to trade with him, he can use his E to lower their attack speed, basic attack, cast W to reset it, and then hit them one last time to activate it. If he's chasing, he can use his Q to get in melee range and do the exact same thing. Once he hits level 6, Malphite can use his ultimate as well to ensure that he's able to proc this keystone. With that said, let's talk about the runes and items. For the runes, you want to take Press the Attack, Presence of Mind, Legend Alacrity, Coup de Grace, Biscuit Delivery, and Approach Velocity. Approach Velocity paired with your Q makes it a lot easier for Malphite to catch up to his opponents so that he can attack them 3 times with ease. For items, you're going to be rushing a Sheen for the cooldown reduction and burst damage, then build Ninja Tabby, Deadman's Plate, Zanya's Hourglass, Adaptive Helm, and Thorn Mail in whatever order is appropriate for your games. Games usually don't last long enough to complete a Sheen upgrade, but you can finish the item last as you're just building it for the early game power spike initially. I've been playing a lot of TFT recently and I like some of the brawler comps, so I've definitely seen a ton of Malphite. We also just recently launched coaching for TFT on ProGuides, so if you're interested in that, you can go there for some great advice from Challenger players. Next up on our list is Omnistone Illaoi. This sounds extremely troll, but in fact, it is working. Speaking of facts, it's true that Illaoi is a champion who loves to fight. Before Conqueror was a thing, Illaoi was one of those champions who didn't have a good go-to keystone. Even now, she functions fine without one, and whatever keystone you roll is just a supplement. Illaoi's trading patterns can allow her to use several different keystones, although not all of them are the best for her. However, since they're on such a short cooldown, this is one of those few cases where quantity is actually more important than quality. For her runes, you want to take Omnistone, Perfect Timing, Futures Market, Time Warp Tonic, Demolish, and Bone Plating. Perfect Timing, Futures Market, and Time Warp Tonic are all amazing masteries in Illaoi. Perfect Timing sets her up for a nice tower dive once the stopwatch is completed. Futures Market allows her to snowball even harder with more gold to use, and Time Warp Tonic is obvious for her early corrupting potion. For her items, build a Black Cleaver, Ninja Tabby, Sterix Gauge, Guardian Angel, Randuin's Omen, and a Mortal Reminder. If you need it, you can substitute an item for Death's Dance, but otherwise stacking health on Illaoi will allow you to survive upfront burst damage so that you can utilize her built-in sustain. The Blade of the Ruined King fad is continuing, and we see both Fiora and Camille building them as well. These champions both use their basic attacks a lot, and having a Blade of the Ruined King helps them cut through tanks and bruisers alike. Also, the movement speed you can steal from opponents is definitely a big help as well, since both of these characters snowball so hard. Both of them already have so much kill pressure when ahead, but building a Blade of the Ruined King makes it practically impossible to escape their reach. Let's go through Fiora's setup first. Her runes are Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Alacrity, Coup de Grace, Magical Footwear, and Biscuit Delivery. Her items are Ravenous Hydra, Ninja Tabby, Blade of the Ruined King, Trinity Force, Sterix Gauge, and a Guardian Angel. For Camille, take Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Bloodline, Last Stand, Shield Bash, and Bone Plating. For her items, build a Ravenous Hydra, Blade of the Ruined King, Trinity Force, Mercury Treads, Sterix Gauge, and a Guardian Angel. That's a wrap for the top lane, guys. Make sure to check out those builds on the screen one last time as we head into the jungle. There's actually been enough time now, and we've finally settled on a Fiddlesticks build. Unfortunately, it's not that exciting, but we felt like you guys might want to know how to play him. I promise the next picks are definitely going to be cooler from here on out, but let's run through Fiddle's build first. First off, for runes, take Electrocute, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, Ultimate Hunter, Nimbus Cloak, and Water Walking. Fiddle is a lot more burst damage focused than before because of the added damage to his Q. Taking Electrocute will make it more feasible to burst down targets even without your ultimate, and will also add some extra power to his ganks. Cheap Shot is a solid choice since you'll often fear, slow, or silence your foes, and can then proceed to activate the bonus damage. Ultimate Hunter speaks for itself as Fiddlesticks' ultimate is on an extremely long cooldown, and it's a core part of his gameplay. Take Nimbus Cloak for some extra mobility, and Water Walking to traverse through the jungle more quickly. For items, you're going to be building Runic Echoes, Sorcerer's Shoes, Zanya's Hourglass, Morellonomicon, Rabadon's Death Cap, and a Void Staff. While Morello's has been gaining a ton of popularity in general, this item is particularly powerful on Fiddlesticks because he has a ton of AoE damage, thus he's able to reduce the healing of several targets at once. Another build we've been seeing is Gargoyle Stoneplate Pantheon. Pantheon's E already allows him to soak up a ton of damage, but he's usually quite fragile once he finishes casting it. To work around this, you can opt for a tankier build with Gargoyle Stoneplate to help you survive. Of course, you'll want to jump in and cycle through a rotation of spells first, but this build makes Pantheon extremely difficult to take down. For runes, you're going to be taking Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Tenacity, Last Stand, Nimbus Cloak, and Water Walking. For his items, you're going to be taking a Warrior Enchant, Mercury Treads, Black Cleaver, Gargoyle Stoneplate, Deadman's Plate, and an Adaptive Helm. You'll start off with a typical Pantheon build, building Warrior into Black Cleaver. As a result, your early to mid game will still be quite oppressive, as you'll deal a ton of damage and also build some necessary cooldown reduction. From there, it's a slight pivot into tankier items as you transition into an off tank with Gargoyle Stoneplate, followed by other miscellaneous tank items. This build is a pretty good one to opt for when you haven't snowballed as hard as you would have liked to in the early game. Without a massive lead, you're going to be jumping in, try to blow someone up, and then proceed to just get deleted if you weren't successful in doing that. With some tank items, you can continue to survive and then soak some damage for your team, even if you aren't able to one-shot a squishy target on the enemy. That's it for the jungle builds, guys. Let's make sure to take a look at that screen one more time as we head into the mid lane. We have another champion using Press the Attack, and it's going to be Fizz. Like Malphite, who we mentioned earlier, Fizz is also able to reset his basic attack with his W. Although this is an AP build, you'll use Press the Attack for the trading power and to increase the damage of subsequent spells with the latter half of Press the Attack's effects. Activating Press the Attack with Fizz is brain dead easy. Your Q can proc one tick of it, so all you have to do is Q in, attack, then reset it with W, and you're done. It's seriously so easy, and it makes Fizz so much stronger during the laning phase. Aside from this, the build and runes are typical Fizz ones, but Press the Attack's short cooldown allows Fizz to play extremely aggressively when he would otherwise have to wait for Electrocute to come off cooldown. For runes, you're going to be taking Press the Attack, Presence of Mind, Legend Tenacity, Coup de Grace, Sudden Impact, and Ravenous Hunter. For items, you're going to be building a Hextech Protobelt, Ionian Boots of Lucidity, Zanya's Hourglass, Lichbane, Rabadon's Death Cap, and a Void Staff. So, we haven't seen much of Corki recently, but once again players have been trying to bring him back. Following the marksman trends, we now see him running Hail of Blades. This is especially powerful in the late game as Corki's burst damage is absolutely insane by then. Since he builds a ton of crit, you're going to be looking at 3 consecutive critical strike auto attacks, the first being empowered by Trinity Force's passive. This is an insane amount of burst, and it's also worth noting that this rune also helps quite a bit with Corki's early trades. For the runes, you're going to be running Hail of Blades, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, Ultimate Hunter, Presence of Mind, and Legend Bloodline. Running Ultimate Hunter allows you to store missiles more often. They're an essential part of Corki's gameplay, and this build doesn't provide much cooldown reduction, so it's a decent way to compensate for that. Presence of Mind plays into the fact that you'll be building a Manamune, and Legend Bloodline will be your sole source of sustain since you don't have Fleet Footwork in this build. For items, you're going to be building a Manamune, Trinity Force, Sorcerer's Shoes, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and a Rapid Fire Cannon. Once you max out Manamune and transform it into a Muramana, it'll add an insane amount of extra damage to your basic attacks. With the Tristana buffs live on the server, we're seeing her picked up in the mid lane once again. She's also part of the Hail of Blades trend because it helps her immediately detonate her bomb for insane burst damage and assistance with her trades. By instantly blowing up her E, Tristana can then use her jump to slow her opponents or to immediately get out of the situation. Tristana's ridiculous kill pressure makes her difficult to lane against. The worst part though is that she scales incredibly well. For her runes, you're going to be taking Hail of Blades, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, Triumph, and Legend Alacrity. For items, you're going to be building Blade of the Rune King, Berserker's Greaves, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Lord Dominic's Regards, and a Rapid Fire Cannon. Alright guys, that's it for the mid lane, so take a look at those builds one more time as we head into the bot lane. So remember how last time we talked about Muramana Draven with Hail of Blades? It turns out you can opt for a similar build with Press the Attack. Muramana is still an insanely powerful item on Draven because of how much raw damage it can provide, alongside the fact that you don't have to worry about managing your mana once you build one. Once you finish stacking your tier, you hit a giant power spike regardless of what build you use, and raw damage is always great on a Draven. For runes, you're going to be taking Press the Attack, Triumph, Legend Alacrity, Coup de Grace, Nimbus Cloak, and Gathering Storm. You can take Presence of Mind if you prefer to have more mana and more AD in the long run, otherwise take Triumph for the heal upon takedowns and a little bit more gold to work with. For items, you're going to be building a Muramana, Berserker's Greaves, Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon, and Phantom Dancer. Next up is Phase Rush Ashe. Movement speed advantages are always nice to have, especially as an immobile marksman, and Ashe can provide Phase Rush both offensively and defensively. When running away, she can hit her opponents 3 times and immediately run away while they're slowed. If she's chasing, she can instead use the burst of movement speed to close the distance between herself and her opponents and continue to maul them with a flurry of arrows. This build is loaded with a ton of movement speed modifiers, so take note of these runes especially. You're going to be taking Phase Rush, Nimbus Cloak, Transcendence, Gathering Storm, Magical Footwear, and Approach Velocity. For items, you're going to be building a Blade of the Rune King, Berserker's Greaves, Rune's Hurricane, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and a Guardian Angel. Alright guys, that's it for the bot lane, so make sure to check out those builds one last time as we head into support. First up for supports is Omnistone Poppy. Again, Poppy is one of those champions who can use a lot of different keystones. Top lane Poppy usually runs Grasp, while jungle usually runs Aftershock or Electrocute, so we already got those ones out of the way. Although Press the Attack is a bit of a stretch for her, she can make use of basically every other keystone decently, and the biggest reason you want to take Omnistone is so that you can run Hex Flash and run Sorcery as your secondary tree. It can be difficult to get onto your opponents sometimes when you're playing Poppy, but running Hex Flash makes it a lot easier. Alternatively, you'd have to run some keystones from the sorcery tree, but they're easily the weakest ones for her. For runes, you're going to be taking Omnistone, Hextech Flash Traption, Minion Dematerializer, Cosmic Insight, Nimbus Cloak, and Celerity. For items, you're going to be building a Pauldrons of White Rock, Boots of Swiftness, Deadman's Plate, Gargoyle Stone Plate, Zeke's Convergence, and a Locket of the Iron Solari. It was only a matter of time, but some Rakan players are now taking Zhonya's Hourglass. While he's typically an in-and-out type of champion, sometimes it's not always possible to get out. Instead, like any champion that likes to dive in, having access to stasis is always a great way to survive and continue to buy time for you and your teammates. I'd draw parallels to the likes of Lissandra and Fiddlesticks, who definitely do this quite often. For runes, you're going to be taking Guardian, Demolish, Bone Plating, Revitalize, Nimbus Cloak, and Celerity. For items, you're going to be building Bulwark of the Mountain, Boots of Mobility, Zeke's Convergence, Redemption, Zhonya's Hourglass, and a Knight's Vow. Of course, feel free to swap out Boots of Mobility for whatever boots you want. Boots of Swiftness or Mercury Treads are great alternatives, so don't feel shy for those. Nimbus Cloak works excellent with whatever offensive summoner spell you decide to take. If you're chasing down an opponent with your ultimate, pop Ignite, Exhaust, or even Flash to make sure that you can catch up to them. So I just mentioned Fiddlesticks a second ago, but once again, he's made his return to the bot lane. Just like before, he's running Aftershock and trying to be the same annoying bag of sticks that he was before his rework. There's a lot more counterplay now since he can't keep spamming his E on the wave and poking you down anymore, but he can do almost the same thing with his new one. Also, his Q and R are even better than before, so some players are still giving him some love as a support. For runes, you're going to be taking Aftershock, Fawn of Life, Bone Plating, Overgrowth, Perfect Timing, and Cosmic Insight. Aftershock is essential as a support, since there are a bunch of aggressive supports who can one-shot you with Crowd Control and Ignite. Taking Perfect Timing can help you win an essential mid-game skirmish, or assist you in a coordinated tower dive to break down a turret early on in the game. For his items, you're going to be building a Shard of True Ice, Boots of Mobility, Zonya's Hourglass, Morellonomicon, Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and a Rabadon's Death Cap. Alright guys, that's it for the support build, so take a look one more time at the screen as we wrap up the video. Alright, that's it for our Korean builds for patch 10.8. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, we're going to be streaming on ProGuides at 10:30 a.m. PST and 5:30 p.m. PST with some of the best players in the world like Pobelter and Mike Young, so make sure to go to ProGuides to check that out. Also, if you guys are interested in getting better at the game, go find your challenger coach right now. There's no better time to climb. That's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and I'll see you on the Rift.